Now in this part of the tutorial we're going to talk about the operators. So let me first quickly create new files for the operators. So here I'm going to copy the variables HTML code and name it operators.html. Also I'm going to create a new file and call it operators.js. So right here for the operators.html, I'm going to here write operators.js, operators.js. Okay, and there we go. So generally the operators in JavaScript is like so many of the other languages operators. So here, for example, the simplest one can be addition. So for example, we can say let A be equal to 5 and let B equal to 4, and then you can say that for example C equals A plus B, and then we can console log C. Okay, let's see the result for C, and notice that we need to open up the operators HTML. Okay, and here I'm going to use inspect element, and here in the console we have 9, which is the result of addition A plus B. Okay, so here we want to also check other things. For example, you want to increment 5 with 1, so we have A plus equal 1 and console log A. And so let's save this code and refresh the Google Chrome. As you can see, it's 6 and no error, no problem. You can also use ++, which are not allowed in some languages. So here let us test this one, and let's put it before console log. So this one should show 7 for it. As you can see, it's 7. So both ways are allowed in JavaScript. And you can also add a minus, which again make it. And it's better to use semicolon. Practice using semicolon in the JavaScript codes, because sometimes in some places you're going to face an error. Here we have a code editor and also Google Chrome, and in the latest updates you do not have an error for not using semicolon, but for some older browsers or some other circumstances you might face an error. So always try to use semicolon after ending each line. Well, anyway, right now let us test A minus and see what happens. As you can see, it's again 6. So here A was 5, it incremented by 1 and it became 6, and then it became 7 with A++, and then with A minus it returned to 6 one more time. So, and then we have shown it in the console. And something else is that what happens if you write, for example, multiply twice. And as you can see, there is an error and you cannot do this because this is exponential and it will not multiply A by 1. So be careful about that. And nobody actually uses multiply by 1, but generally I set this for you to be aware of that. So here I want to, for example, calculate a to the power of b. So a is I think 6 and b is 4. So, and also I want to assign it to a, and okay, let me then console.log a and see what is the result of 6 to the power of 4, console.log a. So let's control save and control S to for save and refresh the Google Chrome. As you can see, 1296 is the result. Okay, so you can use this way for a very quick exponentiation and assign it to the variable that has been exponentiated. So here is the console.log a, and we have so many different operators in JavaScript. We do not have enough time to cover all of them. You can see the full list on different websites and in the official website of JavaScript as well, and in the documentations. But these are some of the most popular ones. However, there are other operators for logical operations. So we have and, or, and for example, and is written this way with two ands like this. Notice that in Python we had and like this, but this is for JavaScript and some other languages like C. And we also have two pillars for or, and I'm going to show you that. So this is the or logic, and we use it at the time that we have an if statement. We want to say if this happened or that happened, and then we want to do something after that. And this exclamation mark is also used for the not operator. So for example, you want to say if something is not equal to another thing, then for example, if a is not equal b, and then do something for that. And by the way, if is not written this way, I just wanted to create an example. We're going to talk about that in the later tutorials. But for now, we're just talking about the operators. So we have other things to cover for the operators. I'm just going to go after that. You can use, for example, the add operator for concatenating these strings and connecting them together. So for example, you have a string name, and we have had name. So let me check. No name. So let me say let name be equal to Andy, and let another name or for example last name like this. So Philip, or anything else, for example Robertson, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to make it more make much more sense to you. And then you want to add them together. You also want to have a space between them. So let full name, and then we can define it this way. So let me fix this. Okay, now we can write name plus last name plus, and here, by the way, we need to have okay, and let's see what's the problem here. The declaration was marked as deprecated here. Name is deprecated. So let me create another variable, for example, name1, and here name1. Okay, now this is no problem. And I think that this has to do something with the problem with the name itself, the name variable itself. So I use, for example, name1. Okay, first, or for example, I can say here first name for it to make much more sense. First name, and let me change one here and also here. First name. Okay, and also space here. Let us console log the full name. Console log, and here is the full name. Okay, let's save the code and check the Google Chrome and the Robertson, as you can see, with the space between them, and no problem. Okay, this is how we concatenate strings. And there is something interesting about JavaScript, and that is, so for example, let us do the same process for a number and a string. So a number plus a number is a number, okay? And a string plus a string is a string. But what if we add a number and a string? You might guess that there is an error for the answer, but actually the result will be a string. So let us try this one. For example, the first. Okay, let me write a string, for example. Okay, let me write just a string for it to make much more sense. And the string could be, for example, 5. And then you write a number and then write 5. And then you will add this to addition and make it equal to a string plus number, and then console.log addition. Okay, let me save this and let us check this one out and see what happens in the Google Chrome. Inspect elements. As you can see, it's 55. So interesting. So it's not a kind of an addition in number. So 5 plus 5 is 10, but here is 55, and the reason is the addition of a string and a number will be a string. So it will convert the number into a string, which is 5, and then it will add it to the another string, which is another 5. So it becomes 55 and not 10. So interesting, and be careful about this one, because if you unintentionally or mistakenly define this to be a string and you have quotation marks over the 5, and then you add the two variables together, there will be no addition in mathematics. It's just concatenation in a string, not the addition in mathematics. So we'll use more operators in the other parts of our tutorial. So we're going to have a lot of interaction with different kinds of operators. And that's it for now. I guess there were some tips to say in this part of the tutorial, but generally we're going to use a lot of operators, especially when we're going to use if statements. We will use the operators, the Boolean operators, and there are also operators with mathematics, and and we'll also use them in dealing with the numbers and their strings. So we're going to close this part, and this tutorial is finished, and in the next parts we're going to talk about other parts of the JavaScript tutorial.